Hello and welcome to the 39th episode of Rambling Weekly. We got a lot to get into, so let's get to it. Welcome back. That there is the arrangement, or at least one of them, from I believe it's the DS soundtrack, or, the DS release of Chrono Trigger, and the soundtrack for that. And that's Frog's theme, because, yeah. So, I haven't played Chrono Trigger in a while, but I was in a Chrono Trigger kind of mood for the music for this episode, so it's all going to be from that. How is everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. Apologies for not having an episode last week, and I mean I did kind of get it out there in the sense of like, hey, not gonna have one, but it is also going to tie into the topic, so I'll shelve that a little bit. But yeah, how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. I am doing a whole lot better in certain ways. There's always the what's going on bit, but I'll leave that for the topic. Leave it for the topic. It'll come up soon enough. What have I got going on? Well, I've been finally getting, after about a week and some change, getting back into streaming Langrisser 1. I'm really enjoying that game so far. It is not too tough, and I blame Sushi B for this. But maybe maybe it'll get tougher as it goes along, or the rebalancing, because you mentioned that it was a fairly tough game. Streaming that, been dabbling. I actually have pivoted back into playing Divinity Original Sin 2 or something. Divinity 2 Original Sin, or I don't know how they. Divinity Original Sin Definitive Edition. There we go. Now that I looked at it, I played a good chunk of it probably about a year and a half ago or so. I really like the game, and it's an enjoyable game. I got to the second part, I think, either the second part or the third part. I mean, I think there's 3 parts. I think I only got to the second part, and because I don't know how to play the game, I got my butt kicked a whole lot. The Scarecrow dude sucks. Death Fog sucks. Like that whole second part of the game, I'm like, oh, I can't go anywhere because I'm dying. This isn't fun. Well, it's not that it's not fun. It's like, where do I go? And then I just kind of lost track of it, and I was like, and then I didn't go back to it, and now I'm back to it, and just kind of, I think I've put in like 2 or 3 hours, sort of thing. So I'm just like, okay, it is enjoyable. Been dabbling into that. I've been not really getting into the writing. I'd want to get back into the writing. I kind of took a couple days to decompress. So after a very strenuous headache and then decompression and now this, so I should be getting back into the groove of that. I really need to finish that up. I wanted to get it done by the end of the year, but I don't think I'm going to, because I am a fool. Well, that and also other things kind of got in the way of that. But let's see, I did get Diafield Chronicles. I haven't played it yet. I just got it, so I'll be curious to see how that goes. I got it for the Switch, which might not have been the best move. I don't know. I needed more games for the Switch. I know I have another game on the Switch that I need to play before that, and that is Indivisible, but it'll be a nice little thing to be like, oh, I want to play this at some point. See how the real-time strat-ish sort of thing, which is really unfortunate because, Sushi and I have talked about this before, and I know I've mentioned this before on this podcast somewhere. I swear, I know I have. I ramble enough. It's bound to have happened. But, like, the game came out 2 weeks ago or something, and then there's, like, nothing about it. Like, I don't see here a peep. Nary a peep, nor praise for the game. Just nothing. But always anything that leads up to it. Oh my goodness, it's a great game. It's super awesome. It looks super cool. That demo is super neat. And then the game comes out, and it's just like crickets. Like, what? Why does this happen? This is so infuriating. Because it's such a... That's where I'm at. with that. But oh, let's see that. Oh, I don't know. I got to see my brother before he moved out. Cody, he was on a few episodes ago. He's moving to Colorado. I wish him Godspeed. And of course, he is always has a line to me kind of thing. I don't even think he listens, but maybe he'll listen this time because he's probably on the road at this point. Notice me, brother. But so yeah, I spent a little bit of time with him as well as my father, who just had his birthday, and that's always something. Just because we're three very different people, not necessarily a negative way, and there's certain ways we are very similar people, and it's sometimes those similarities really make it hard to tolerate our differences. But no, that was pretty good. We did a little bit of, because my dad has some line and stuff, we did a little bit of shooting, and I was teasing the both of them, saying I don't shoot worth anything. I'm a really good shot with a bow and arrow, but like I haven't shot anything in ages, forever. And we did a little like one round of shooting at a can with just one for just a small 9mm, which trajectories aren't the greatest, but who was the one that hit it? It was me. Those two goobers got shots off, and I was the one to hit it. So ha 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 ha. But yeah, did a little bit of that. That's, I don't know. Also, haven't been to Arby's in forever, and I guess Arby's has like slider burger things now. Like, when did this happen? I knew they had the meats, but I didn't realize they had pretty much just stepped all over the toes of White Castles. But yeah, I guess that's where it's at. But, let's see, what else has been going on? That my fridge has died on me. That's pretty cool. I really appreciate that. I mean, thankfully it's like close to winter, or at least inching closer to winter. And if the last handful of days or a week or so is any sort of idea, it might get kind of chilly this winter. I might just have my own personal freezer right out on my balcony and just kind of like shelve everything out there. Just deal without having a fridge. Don't turn on the heat. There we go. Nature is my fridge and freezer. Or just not pay my gas bill and go that route. My pipes will, my water pipes will bust, and I won't have any water. And then I don't have to even worry about a water bill. Look at that. I'm planning so far in advance. I've got it figured out. I don't know if there's really much else that's been going on, and mainly because I want to talk about it for the topic. I guess I should go into it. The title's really not going to give an idea for it. But yeah, I'm basically going to be talking about, I quit my job. We'll get into that. And all that has to do with everything. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that and just some ideas and thoughts about that in general. And yeah, so after the break, we'll talk about that because that's what we do. I mean, it's been about close to 40 episodes. You'd think I'd have a better way of phrasing that. No, we'll just listen to it. Listen to the bumper. We'll be back. That there is World Revolution, which is the penultimate fight boss fight in Chrono Trigger. The song is a fantastic one. It's a great one. I really, really enjoy it. Same with a lot of other people. I will say this, though, not to try to step on its toes or anything, but there was certainly a while where I was like, this is maybe the best. Just how it, like, brings in all the different other like leitmotifs of other songs throughout the game. But I think World Revolution is certainly a fantastic song. Honorable mention to Overcoming Everything from Terranigma, because that song is same reasons why I like this song, but that song just punches so much harder. I feel like that is such a glorious song. Anyways, this is such a glorious song as well. World Revolution. Anyway, good stuff. Really, really enjoyed it. And I remember the first time I fought the Lavos core, not the last fight, but this fight in general. Not prepared, not even remotely. I'm going, oh yeah, let's go take Lavos on, and that opening move just goes. And I was like, oh boy, they're all dead, and that did like 600 to 800 damage, and they've only got like 3 or 4. I'm in trouble. So that's always a nice rude awakening to have there. But yeah, the topic for this aptly titled one is when blood for the machine dries up. Not to try to have my typical edgy boyness, but more than anything, yeah. What happened? I just quit my job. Well, intrepid travelers, let me tell you, I was mighty fed up. So I've regaled some of these details a little bit here and there, but let me go into a little bit more detail. I was salaried. However, my agreement was, even though it's salaried, I would be working 48 hours a week, which I agreed to that. I'm totally fine with that. However, because of how things go and how to put it, and how it's like, hey, this needs done, this needs done, this needs done, this needs done, this, more and more and more. I was finding that even in the short time that I had taken the position, that 48 soon ballooned. It went from 48 to 52, 52 to 55, to 55 to 60, and I still wasn't getting a bunch of stuff done partially because there's just no way to get it done, and the way that the system for this company was built, there weren't. It was pretty much dependent on me to do about 4 different jobs. Or 4, I would say not jobs, but tasks. 4 separate tasks that had me bouncing different parts of the store, not having the chance to really do what I needed to do. Pretty cool stuff. Really exciting stuff. And not only that, but because I had that salaried bit, I wasn't being paid any sort of overtime. Yeah, that was exciting. That was really fun. I was really appreciative. Not in the least, but I was not too thrilled that this was becoming more of not only one of those like sci-fi blob monster things that just sort of like I think of the and I don't know if it's tied to any other stories, but in the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov, in one of the last books in the timeline, because he had like one last book that he wrote that was like a prequel to Foundation, but I think it might be the last book. Oh, either the last or second to last book or something. The main character is planet hopping, basically, and gets to one planet where it's completely barren, and come to find out it's been overtaken by, like, I'm going to say it's like some sort of bacterial moss sort of thing. Not bacterial moss. It's some sort of, like, moss sort of thing that, like, just starts growing and growing, and it grows, like, exponentially, and it like, kills off everything. It was sort of like that. Or the replicator things from Stargate, or whatever those things, those horrible little tiny things are called, where they eventually made like another Sam Carter kind of thing. I think that's their name. I don't remember. Yeah, it just kept going and going and going, and then just being pulled in one direction and being told, hey, all these things need done, and then trying to ask the team, well, not even ask, but remind the team, hey team, I need to get to these other tasks that I'm not getting to, and team going, oh, well, that's cool, but I'm still going to go this pace. And it's like, okay, great, cool, great. That's not, and you can't really reprimand them, because it's like, you reprimand them, and then you step closer to firing them, and then they fire you fire these people, and that just means more work, because there's nobody applying for these positions, and it's just like, oh, great. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, and this is getting quickly, not even just progressively, but very quickly, precipitously, a lot worse. And I basically had my fill. And by that last week, I put in about 70 hours. I wasn't getting any of my lunches. I was, I would come in the morning to open the store, and then all of a sudden get a call being like, I can't come in. And then I'd be like, great, there's nobody that can fill it. And so then I would come back and then have to come in and close. And yeah, it was about 70 hours, which dropped my pay because I wasn't getting any overtime, and it was just a hardline salaried pay. It dropped it to about a third. Not quite, but it pushes towards that. It's just like, cool, thanks. Not very incentivized. And so, like, that's where the blood comes in. The blood is like the incentivization to do things. And it's like, when I'm not incentivized, when I'm not caring in that point, because it's just like, I'm doing the things. It's more of just like, I see this as a fruitless, futile endeavor, and I'm going to have a stroke. My mom seen me, and she was like, good God, you look worse. You look as bad as your uncle after a hard night of drinking. And I'm like, oh, great. I don't even really drink, and I am looking that awful. Just that's irritated, and that's just angry about it. And it's just like, this is I can't do this. This is beyond the pale. Like, no more. No. So I quit. I had made mention of it, and much like lots of places will do when you make mention of this sort of thing, not necessarily seedy and sneakily, but they do, if they want to like be like, oh, we want to keep you kind of thing, they'll try to postpone that sort of thing. And I'm one of those people that I can be rather belligerent in that, hey, I've already made my mind up, and the more that you push, the quicker that mind is made up. And I'm just like, okay, all right, fine, you're gonna try to do that. No. I am I quit that place, and then I am starting up elsewhere, and in a similar sort of environment, but at a much more reduced workload. So be starting up there next week, but it should be good, because partly because there's a lot of, for that previous company, there's a lot of disorganization, and that plays a part into it, because there's certain things you simply cannot account for. And while I get wiggle room, the wiggle room is so widely varied that it's like, hey, if I'm expecting something on the normal day to be a Tuesday, let's say, and I do not get any heads up, but then it comes on a Monday and it throws everything out of whack, that makes things really, really difficult. And that's a pretty common occurrence. Common as in weekly or twice a week sort of thing. Really, really, really grabs my goat. And I do not appreciate that sort of thing. So I guess when it comes to this in general, as a question, I just wonder, when things aren't working, how can somebody go about the situation, or this, just how it's set up? Can it be reconciled at that point? Should it even be at that? Like, that's where it's like, for myself, I'm looking at this, I'm seeing how stressed and annoyed and just completely draining this whole thing is, and how do you fix something like that? Because I don't think there is, at least for somebody like myself. Like, that's the only way I can fix that equation, because it's not going to change. It's just not an environment that I excel in. Some people do really well at it, and I am just probably not one of those people, partially because I think I've mentioned this before. You'll also notice that my phone isn't going off, so but that played a part into this as well, is that I was only getting 1 day off a week, and outside of when I had a little bit of PTO there, and even then I was getting about upwards to 100 texts a day, anywhere from 7:30, if not earlier in the morning, all the way till possibly 10:30 at night, just from work. And that didn't happen maybe 1 day, but it was happening fairly regularly. Not, I want to say it happened, we'd be getting a whole bunch of text all the time, 3 to 5 days a week. And it's in a way, it's this micromanaging sort of thing, where it's like, hey, this thing that that you have to do, gonna text about it, and then texts kind of spiral out, and it's like, hey, beep, 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 beep. And then, even on my days off, there was one earlier in the month of September, I got a call from my boss to be like, hey, I need you to do something. And I was like, it's my day off. Like, can this not wait? and he's like, well, we need you to get this done so we can have it in the system and everything, and go in. And it was like an hour-long endeavor to do this, not including the time to get into work and then go home. An hour-long endeavor for something that wasn't. So it was. I did it on like the 7th or something. It wasn't due until the 23rd, and I'm just like, why is there such a oh my goodness, this needs done, it needs done now, blah 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 blah, for something that's not, like, for 2 weeks, and it's like my day off. My one day off. Like, that in itself really should highlight some concerns and issues there, where it's, I mean, I know there's a lot of people, but then some people just get into a habit of it. To paraphrase the Star Trek quote with anger, when you're angry for a long time, it starts to feel like old leather. It just is easy to slip into, and I think that's what's happened. It's that sort of environment, and it's easy to slip into this and think it's an appropriate way to go about things. But I've always been of the mind of, I work to live, not live to work. If I was doing something a lot more noble, not to say that I'm ignoble, but if I was doing something like trying to solve the riddle of Alzheimer's, or helping defeat cancer in all of its various forms, or at least one of its various forms, that's a little bit more understandable, a little bit more. Yeah, I'm more, drop 80 hours a week. I'm going to solve this. We're done with this. We no more of this. Get it out of here. But no, I am unfortunately not of that caliber. I am me. Dude who wears slime hats every now and again. I am sort of a court jester for the court of Twitch every now and again. And so I will certainly give my energies when I am at work and everything, but then when it balloons and spirals into, here we are getting texts at 6:30 a.m. to make sure we're at this weekly phone conference thing, I'm just like, are we not adults? Like, do we need the constant reminders for every minor thing? And I get having reminders for things, but this is where I feel like, my patience or whatever has run dry with it, because it's like, yeah, you build these reminders for yourself. I don't know. I don't know how you go about fixing something like that, because then they'll see, they'll point to all these examples of people not following and not getting these things done, and yeah, certainly that is a problem as well. But I don't know, I think there's a tedium that, is that even a word? Tedium? Yes, it is a word. If not, I'm making it a word now, but I think it's a word. My brain's mush. But the tedium that, wow, sidetracked myself into it, not even remember what I was saying. Tedious things that need to be done, those things add up like little pebbles. They start to turn into a little thing. I have seen little Mount Fujis made out of tiny pebbles and rocks from Mount Fuji. I see how this works, and this is what happens as it builds, and they don't consider that any sort of time. It's like, that's not time for work. And I'm like, no, that is time for work, because you have to be in a mindset to do it. And instead of being considerate of somebody else's time, they're like, no, you're salaried. This is blood for the machine, kind of thing. And it's just like, no, absolutely not. Like, you make this agreement of certain amount of time, and I'm willing to push beyond it when necessary, or when I'm like, I need to catch up on something. I'll push that extra little bit. But in the same hand, it's like, there's a difference between, I'll push that extra little bit, to, you're missing all of your lunches. You are, I'm missing all my lunches now, just so I can try to keep head above water. I'm staying a whole, I'm doing 65 hours or so, and there's really not much in the way of assistance that they're willing to give me. No, absolutely not. So that's that for that, because I just I can't do that. Like, that's just not me. Like, I can, if it's like a bunch of different projects, doing the Rambling Weekly stuff, doing my writing stuff, doing the streaming stuff, doing all this other stuff, like, I can keep myself busy. I don't need a a nanny of a job to do that for me when it comes to my life. Like at work, I'll be a little bit more understanding, but when it's my life outside of there, I'm a lot more no. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I don't think I could reconcile it, because it was mentioned about how, well, you could take a leave of absence and just come back, and it's like, well, that's not going to fix it. That's, or step down, and like, that's, I mean, that would fix it to some degree, but then you're stepping on the people, the toes of other people who are around, or you just get shuffled to a place. Like, I am not 100% certain, but I would venture to say that in my time there, I think I worked more weeks of overtime, and that's, I'll include the like, I need to work 48 hours, because that's not 5.5 day work weeks. No, that's 6. That's 48 hours. But even before that, I want to say that I worked more weeks of that than I had days off in general. If not, it's pretty close. They're pretty close to one another, and to me, that's just, I could not do that. And then to step down is pretty much doing the same thing, and it's just like, that's not, no, like, you're still in the same situation. So you change your role a little bit. You take the name tag off, scribble out a couple things, write in a new thing, put it back on, but you're still in the same situation. And I don't know. I find that really difficult to reconcile, unless maybe it's, it falls down to a person who's more adaptable in that regard. But even like adaptability, I think it's one of those things that it kind of like a rubber band. You stretch it far enough, it will break. And I think that's where that kind of comes in, because I can be I'm malleable, I'm adaptable to certain degrees, and certainly I have my core sense of myself that I'm just like, no, this is who I am, and it's just for better and for worse. But I just don't think it can be reconciled, nor do I think it can, like, should it be in that situation. I know David is, because we've talked about it before, and he is very much of the mind to just be like, let them suffer the consequences of bad operations or poorly fitting operations. I'll phrase it like that. And it is what it is. And I do feel bad, because in quitting, it also puts a lot more strain on the few people that are there. In the same hand, it's like, they, if they're willing to tolerate it, more power to them, I guess. I don't agree with it, and I wish they would be like, yeah, I think I'm going to go my own route on this. It is what it is. So I'm in a better spot, I'll say, in the sense of just stress levels. They have tapered off a whole lot. I am feeling a whole lot better. I am like, kind of like the planet's a lot lighter kind of thing. I don't know. It's just, wasn't like I was kind of like an angry, vindictive jerk about quitting either. And I was maybe slightly curt, maybe a little. It was just kind of like, hey, I'm done. This is it. It's just not gonna work. Good luck to you. God bless and good luck. Like, that was all I could really do for it, because I know that for myself, if I was to extrapolate from that I could have gone into like the petty of, well, this and this and this and and then like that doesn't help. It's not gonna help. That it's just gonna come off as a petty whiner, and I don't need to do that. So, but yeah, I'm doing a lot better. It has been, I don't know, it's been outside of my fridge not working, which is unfortunate, because I lost my pizzas. I always have like an emergency pizza in there. It is no longer there, and it makes me sad. But beyond that, I'm doing good. Certainly a catharsis. I get now what people mean when they're like, oh yeah, or quitting a job that is like hyper stressing you out is certainly a catharsis. I mean, not the greatest times for things like that, just because of how things are going, but it is what it is. Like I said, if I kept going that route, I would have probably had a stroke. I can guarantee it. the way that both sides of my family are, their blood is a little on the thick side, and coagulates and and crystallizes and all that sort of fun stuff, and then we die kind of early. So I don't want to die this early. I mean, it does. If it does happen, it does happen. Trying not to feed the coal for that fire, but so yeah, that's really what I got. We're gonna take a break, and I'll have some sort of quote. I'll have a quote, and then that'll be it. So see you on the other side. Welcome back. That song there is Wings That Cross Time, and I always, whenever I hear this song, I always think of the Hydain 2525 vocal version of it, which was, I think it was either around the same time. I don't remember. There's one guy, is it Brental Floss or something? I don't know. I'm not big into the turn like every song into a lyrical kind of thing. Hydain's always hit me, right? Partially because it always had like the cutesy little background stuff for the Dragon Quest ones, and then I don't know, his always worked. And he did one for this song, and I was always like, yeah, I might link that one as well, just because it's a good song. Especially after all the crap that happens in that game. You're at that point, you're like, oh, hey, time to fly around. Silbird, fly, Silbird. Anyways, quote time. And the quote for this episode is going to come to us from Cicero, Marcus Tullius Cicero, or Cicero. I'm not really certain on the whole hard C, soft C when it comes to the Roman folk. Yeah, so deal with it. So yeah, the quote is, 6 mistakes mankind keeps making century after century. Believing that personal gain is made by crushing others. Worrying about things that cannot be changed or corrected. Insisting that a thing is impossible because we cannot accomplish it. Refusing to set aside trivial preferences. Neglecting development and refinement of the mind. Attempting to compel others to believe and live as we do. Yep, and that's pretty much it. He seems to be of the mind of just yeah. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Maybe not to that degree. Yeah, those are certainly mistakes we seem to get in the habit of, and some more than others, unfortunately. Don't think that's going to change anytime soon. It's really of the mind that social media and the internet has really exacerbated and highlighted those wonderful mistakes of ours. So that is going to be it for me today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a good weekend, and all that sort of fun jazz. And yeah, if you have your own work horror stories, please let me know. Let us share, because sharing is caring, right? And the song that's playing out to is Schala's theme. Whenever I hear the song, I always get that like ethereal quality, like that imagery in my head, like kind of like spacey sort of imagery in my mind. But I also think of Xenogears, because I feel like this song, this feels like a good leap pad of a song to be like, oh, I really liked what I did on Chrono Trigger, even though it put me in the hospital from working on it so much and having ulcers. I'll get back to it with some Xenogears. And you had some similar players involved in Xenogears as well. So, but yeah, Schala's theme, such a nice tune. And that'll be it. And we'll be back next week. That is the plan. So, see you then.